I can guarantee that every single music producer will be able to relate to this situation. So imagine that you're making a track and you're looking for some sort of effects, whether it's an impact, noise sweep, downlifter, uplifter, whatever is the thing that you're looking for. And you are looking in your sample packs, Splice, any other platforms, and everything that you can find there is sounding too generic. Maybe it's too boring, maybe it doesn't fit the track. But the point is, it's not unique. You probably have heard these effects in other people's tracks or something like that. Well, in today's video, I'm going to share 5 ways how you can make custom effects for your electronic dance music tracks. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Vlad, and I create superstar music producers. If you're interested in coaching and you want to work with me one-on-one, all the links are down below. Feel free to send me a message on Instagram or book a call right away. And without further talking, let's get straight into the video. So these are the effects that we're going to be making today. I split them into a couple of different categories. So the first one is going to be the spatial one. It's going to be stuff like this. The second one is going to be more like weird effects. The next one is going to be also from this category. Something more like this, and then. And as usual, I want to start with my beautiful presentation. I know a lot of you guys are liking my approach. So yeah, let's just do that. So first I want to talk about the different FX types. So roughly speaking, we have about 5 FX types: uplifters, downlifters, noise effects, impacts, little hits, soundscapes, ambiances, and synth FX. So let me show you this in Ableton. So a good example will be an impact. So this is going to be an impact. It's going to sound something like this. An ambience will sound more like this. A downlifter will sound like this. An uplifter will sound like this. And then a synth FX will sound something like. And you can be really, really creative with that. So let's start with the first thing. So where do I find FX sounds? So really when it comes to that, it will be 2 ways. So you either going to synthesize your own sounds, like in a synthesizer, or you can take a sound from a sample library, whether it's drum sound, synth sound, whatever is the thing. So I'm going to be focusing mostly on the second approach, which is taking samples from a sample pack. So let me show you what I mean. You can literally take any sample. I usually like taking drum samples. So let me show you what we have here. So let's go to, for example, Berlin techno, and then I'm just going to look for some samples, and then I will put them first in here because I have some processing chains here. So let's say we're gonna look for example, it could be percussion, and then we can put percussion here to my processing chain, and then it's going to sound like. So even though it's just EQ, reverb, and delay, it's already sounding pretty interesting, and we can get pretty creative with that. I will show you some more techniques. Okay, so once you find the sound, let's talk a little bit more about this sound design aspect. So there are different ways how you can make custom effects. So basically there are 5 main ones. Reverb, delay, convolution, that's going to be spatial processing. Dynamic processing, like compression and stuff. Harmonic processing, saturation. Tonal processing, EQ. And then multi-FX, it's like all together. There are some really nice multi-FX plugins. And one more thing is going to be the sample warping. This is also a really interesting way to make cool effects, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So before we jump into that, I want to show you some diagrams. That's going to be sort of like the illustration of the logic. So when it comes to processing, right, how you process the effects, all you really want to do is play around with different processing, whether it's EQ, saturation, delay, like whatever is the type of processing that you're using, right? So you want to combine different processing types and also different parameters inside each plugin, depending on which plugin you are using, right? And to give you like a visual representation of what some of these processing types could do to your sound, let's take a look at this diagram. So let's say that we have like the original and the boring sounds, right? So with saturation, we can turn boring sounds into something like this, right? So we are adding more harmonic information and color to the sound with saturation, basically. Let's say we are working with spatial processing. So spatial processing is quite an interesting thing to play with. So again, the original sound is flat and boring, and with spatial FX, we can put it into a new dimension. So let's break it down. Okay, so let's take a look at the first category, which is going to be the spatial FX. So there's one example that I already showed you. Let's go step by step. So this is the original sound, which sounds like this. So with the EQ, I'm shaping the sound a little bit. With the reverb, I'm adding more space to it. And with delay, I am shaping the sound even more and making it even more interesting, right? It's like super, super simple, but then already by using that, you can achieve quite interesting sounds. Let me show you another example. So this one is going to be a little bit different. It has different processing. And then you can see I'm also utilizing warping here. So you can stretch the sample, really spend some time playing with that. So if we take this one, it's kind of weird, right? If we do like this, it's actually, it doesn't sound that much different. But anyway, let's do like this. Let's first put a vocoder. So now the sound is becoming more noisy. I wanted to have some noisy sound. The next thing is going to be overdrive. It's pretty weird, right? Pretty extreme. The next one is going to be phaser. So with this one, it's like, it's pretty weird, but I like it. And then the last step of the process is going to be the reverb. So it's going to create this really, really weird effect. The next example is going to be this sound. Again, it's spatial processing again. But what I'm using here is a bit different plugin. It's called Valhalla Supermassive. And the difference between Valhalla Supermassive and a classic reverb is this one is a little bit more like, it's more interesting, like in terms of the sound design. So once you listen to it, you will understand what I mean. It sort of creates like a cloud. So what I did here, I applied a lot of feedback, really short delay time, and then this is the original sound. And just with one plugin. It's, by the way, a free plugin. We can do stuff like this. Pretty interesting. Then the next thing that you can do, you can resample the tail, so you can freeze the track like this, then create the next track, and then out of that you can create more effects. So what I did in the next sound is I took this sound, I reversed it, and I put reverb and delay on it, and then even with such simple processing, it's already sounding quite interesting, okay? The next thing is going to be a drum loop. So this one is going to be a little bit more like non-standard. And what I did here, this is a convolution reverb. It's basically like an impulse response, and then you load the impulse response into the convolution reverb, and it will give you really, really interesting sounds. So you can use it on a synthesizer, on the drums, like literally anything. Let's check it out. So I would definitely recommend trying convolution reverb. It's also really, really interesting. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the multi-FX and what I did here. So if we take this sound, so I want to show you the original one. The original one is sounding like this. It's really, really simple, just like a percussion loop. Nothing really complicated here. So with the multi-FX, we can turn this sound into something like... So I have a plugin which is called Tantra, And again, you can see it has filters, distortion, loafer, flanger, delay, glitch, like all kinds of really interesting effects. And why I love those multi-FX plugins, because they offer you really cool presets, and with those, just by using presets, you can achieve really interesting sounds. So like we can really interesting. I like that, like super simple plugin, but then again, it can give you a lot of cool results. And then to give you one more example with spatial processing, take a look at the delay, what I did here. This is what you can do. So really, you are limited only by your imagination at this point. Right, so we can take, for example, we can make glitches as well. Let me show you something that you can do with beats. So with beats, you can stretch your drum loop, something like this, and then we can do stuff like this. We can pitch it. So let's say you can do stuff like this. It's pretty cool, right? And out of this, you can make even more sounds. So this is already quite interesting, right? And then on top of that, we can put tantra. Right, so it's like super simple. All you need to understand is the logic that you can take any sound, you can put some processing on it, you can warp the sound, and then out of that you can create really cool sounding effects. Okay, so another example would be a noise sweep. So again, I'm using tantra as a multi-FX, and we can take this track. Let me show you the original one. So you can see I stretched the sample in repitch mode. You can try different ones because they all have a bit different character. Really interesting. If I disable, this is the original sound. And then with tantra, we can do stuff like this. Quite cool, right? And then you can resample it, you can put even more processing onto the sound. So really just limited by your imagination, right? And then again, this is going to be another example but this one is with isotope trash. This is also like a multi-FX. This is more like a distortion plugin, but it's also really cool. So this is how the original sound, the drum loop sounded like. Same loop, but with isotope trash, really cool. Again, so I'm not going to go too deep into the details of these plugins. You can do it on your own. I want to show you the logic, the actual logic, and give you the tools, and then you can see what works for your tracks and for your music, right? So this is one of the ways how you can work with that. And then the last step of the process, or like the last thing that I want to show you, is going to be some FX examples, which is going to be the synth example. So if we go back to the presentation, if we talk about the Synth FX, how you can do Synth FX, it's mostly going to be with the LFOs, with the envelopes. So you want to move the knobs. You want to move the knobs with LFOs. There should be like constant movement. To give you an example, I'm going to show you this riser template. I hope it loads. No, I need to load it again. So riser example. Yeah, riser template. So if we listen to this one, right, so all I did here was just one LFO, and one LFO is controlling the detune of the first oscillator, the blend of the detuned parts, like how like voices. I think that would be the right word to call it. Then the level, then the filter. So one LFO is controlling pretty much everything. But you can be more flexible, and you can assign multiple envelopes. You can assign multiple LFOs, and so on. So You can see like it's really simple. Then my advice for you, if you want to learn how to synthesize your own FX in a synthesizer, what I would do at this point is I would go to, let me just disable. Do I have any processing? Oh yeah. If you want to learn how to make your own synth FX, what you can do is go to find some not sample packs, the preset packs, right? Load that and then try to break down and understand what people are doing and how they are modulating everything. Take a look at the FX and just reverse engineer the process, and then you will be able to make your own FX. If we take a look at this, for example, if we disable the FX, right? It's super simple, right? So we can do like this. And then we can take a look at the matrix. So LFO1, LFO2, LFO3, LFO4. So these are the things that control the movement, that control the parameters inside the synthesizer. So this is what I would do. So I think we talked pretty much about everything in this presentation. So again, like the whole process is going to consist of these steps. So when it comes to custom FX, you want to understand first what exactly is the thing that you're looking for. Then you can experiment with different FX. Even one sample can sound completely different depending on the processing. And then after that, you want to use FX, stretch, resample, and play around with your loops and samples for the best results. So once again, we covered the spatial processing. We covered, wait, I think I may have forgotten the compression here, actually. So to give you an example of what we could do, we could take, let's say, this loop, and then, so we can literally just squash the sound. So let's say we're going to apply a bit of saturation, then we're going to apply some compression and just really squash the sound. So without the saturation, it has more dynamics, but with compression, again, we can shape the sound really easily. And then we can manipulate the sound and get the sound that we want at the end of the day. So I don't think that I need to go like too much into this, because I think you get the concept by now. So just really all about playing around, taking the samples that you have, taking the loops that you have, then putting that into the project, and that's going to be pretty much it. So yeah, that's going to be it for this tutorial. I hope you guys learned something new, because for me it was like really easy, and then I know that some people requested this kind of tutorial, so I hope you guys like it, and I see you guys in the next one.